What's up? Let me fix the camera here. There we go. All right. So in this video, I'm share my screen. There we go. So in this video, for the current status of my game here, I have this actor blueprint, and I have different pieces of uh, this that I want to review, and really kind of mainly for documentation purposes. But I hope it might help anyone else looking to build anything similar to this, or maybe different aspects of it. Um, so yeah, I have uh, this piece right here. This static mesh that you see is a full blueprint. You can see all the different aspects here. So um, here is, let me pull this up, the different, um, I guess, areas I'll be going over. So it kind of operates in two different ways. It can operate if it's rigged. So this will be like a social deduction game. So if somebody rigs it, then it'll operate differently. And I just realized I didn't do my notifications, so let me do that real quick. One more thing. Okay. So back to my notes here. Where was I? Yeah. So this machine here will work in two different ways. So since this is a social deduction game, it will operate normally if it's not rigged. If the machine is rigged, I'll show how it operates. This saw will essentially get like jammed, and it'll make the piece of wood on here explode, and it'll kill the player that is operating it. So I'll I'll go over that, at least the concept of it, and kind of show how it works. I won't go over it, you know, the coding of it too much in detail unless somebody's specifically asked, and I will. I'll go over modeling. So this sawmill was not downloaded. I made everything on it myself, just through the modeling feature in Unreal. So I'll go over that, at least the basics of it. Kind of once, if go over the basics of how the modeling works, then I'm sure anybody would be able to kind of pick up how this is made. I'll go over lighting. I personally had quite a bit of troubles lighting this level. You can see that the lighting is pretty consistent here, and it's also, I think it's pretty stable and it looks clean. I went over a handful of different ways of how to light this, and I personally had some troubles with it. Maybe it was just me, but I can show you kind of the hallways here too, and then how we transition actually into our room. And you can see how the lighting is pretty clean here. So again, this is something that some lessons learned that I took away from, I guess, doing a little bit of research I did, and I thought I'd share it with others, in case someone else is doing just an intro level on lighting that is just simple, basic, and gets the job done. Let's see what else. Materials. So I'll go over, you can see here, when we deselect it, we have these materials here that's like a yellow, we have like this black, this is more of maybe like a gold color, but then, here we have like a green, which would go kind of like a green. then the ground here is kind of like a dark brownish. So I'll kind of go over how I made like a base material that I could use pretty easily and pretty efficiently for seconds. So for anything that I think that I can put a custom material on, I can just make a copy of the material base that I'm making for when you use for like create an instance of it. And then you can change like the color, you can change like the metallicness of it, the roughness, if you wanted to put chalk like that. Audio. I had a little bit of, nothing extensive, but I did scratch the surface on some audio editing before I got into game development. So I'll show how I was able to make custom audio for this actor. If you know how to get into YouTube and copy and paste the link, really it's just a bunch of copy and pasting. So I think this has probably been pretty useful. Hopefully someone else will find some use out of it as well. So yeah, I'll go over how I did custom audio. Icons. So I'll go over, or I'll share the video. I don't want to go over it too detailed because I'll just share a video that's like, I think it's like 10 minutes long or something, that explains how to get these audio or these icons to do. So you can see, it's like press F to add a log, right? So I can here grab a log, press F, and it's like a nice, I think it's a pretty easy user interface feature to add. Same thing over here. You see the stairs here to get up to the, well, maybe I might need to make it more brighter. You can see there's F there to operate the machine. So you press F and that will operate it, right? And then over here, we have where you get into what's called a collision box. We'll get into this collision box here and you'll see that we have an oil spout here to add oil. So I'll show, or I'll at least share the video on how to add these floating icon boxes here. It's actually really simple. I think it looks really clean. So I anticipate using this quite a bit. What else you got? Oh, it's so I don't know if you noticed, but when I hop on the machine, I'll do it. So you can see right now we have a cursor in the middle, which is kind of like a soft, subtle cursor. I wanted to place that way to kind of help the player kind of aim their it's called like a trace by channel, which I'll go over when we go over the blueprint. But you can see we have a cursor, right? But then when we operate the machine, it's not there anymore. But you can see that we have like a bar on the top left, like a green, yellow, and then in the top right we have instructions on how to operate the machine. So I'll kind of quickly, or maybe go over this, scratch the surface on how I did that. Again, I think if I go over that, I think the rest is pretty straightforward. I'll go over how I pull things from the App Store, like from the Epic Game Store, what to look out for there, and then I'll just go over some general blueprint stuff. I know there's probably a billion videos out there on blueprints, but I'll at least go over what other than the very basic blueprint stuff, some of the, I guess the key areas that I thought were useful and using kind of blueprints throughout this. So yeah. So I'll actually show the character first. I kind of want to do this as like a separate video for the character because there's so much to it. But this is our my character. He kind of breathes kind of fast right now. I plan to fix that later. Um, he was supposed to breathe slower, but I kind of messed with the keyframe. So he breathes kind of quick. So let me. I pulled the camera back here so it's in third person. So here's our character, and we walk, and you can see. Let me pull the camera back some. I think I might do this just so we can see it better. There we go. Yeah, so you can kind of see. Again, nothing to write home about, but kind of the what's kind of good stuff about. Kind of the lesson here is one I'll do a separate video, but I created this all Blender, the animation, the static mesh, and then I watched some videos to do like a workflow from Blender to Unreal Engine. So you can see it has like the walking animation, and it's called an idle animation. So when he stops, he sits there and breathes. But then there's also the camera effect to it too. So some games, if you rotate the camera like this, the player will stay facing a direction. So like here I'm facing the garage. If I move the mouse and I rotate it, you can see that the player rotates too. That was intentional, but there's different options to set it up to where if like you want to rotate and look behind you. Also, so you noticed when I walked into eventually you can see when I walk in here, fall down as if like as you would expect with gravity. That's at least me straightforward. So I'll probably make a separate video on how I did that. Again, it's pretty straightforward stuff. It's just, my first time, not really knowing what to do. I kind of do that a bit. So I'll probably make a video. Well, I how I created the Blender, how I did the animations, how I picked it, and then over here where oh yeah, here we go. Here's the here. This kind of helps with like the gravity and the movement and stuff. So, and then where the spring arm comes into play, and then the spotlight as well. So again, just a quick character review. I just want to kind of show as we kind of move around the level what we're actually controlling. So, go to the next piece here. So how did I make this right? Especially like if you look at this, right? All these like tricky things. So over here, see selection mode. You got model. Kind of get this thing. There's a plugin that I have to download. I believe it's this one. It's either one of these, but once you download or once you install this plugin, then you'll see that if you don't see this popped out like this, you might have to do like something like this. I remember I had something similar to where I was like, why isn't it showing for me? But I had to like click this and drag it out. I don't. Maybe I was just the next case for me, but you might have to do that. So once you see this, you have all these options here. Create. You can just pick what you want here, kind of like a add a shape box, right? There's some options. Now this create, you can actually see where it's located here. So we have this box here, and you can kind of mess but if you want to add something extra, right? Like let's do like a pipe cylinder. There's a cylinder, there's a pipe. Just put it right here, right? So we have this box, and it'll pipe come on, right? So when you click on it, you see it's two different static pipes, right? But if you click on both of them, or if you have either select them all, you can just go to tools, merge actors, merge them, place those actors, just save it here. Here's my other test. So let's do test. It'll actually it'll prefix whatever you name it as so I found that out when I was already prefixing it, and then it started adding it. So now you can open it, you can add a collision box, really whatever you want to do, or you could drag it out to the level. So again, pretty straightforward, and that's how you create pretty simple objects, combine them and do stuff with this, or really whatever, something like this. Pretty easily within the actual Unreal Engine. Like you don't have to go to Blender to do that. I think this brings us to materials. Okay. So for the material, like this, this one is yellow, black, I have this base material here made. So this is what is, it's like a base material, right? So what you can do is when you go to create material, so you go to like right click, material, you'll get this. And then what you want to do is make sure like this node has these options: surface, okay, default layer. Excuse me. And then what you want to do is have this like color here, and then this doesn't really matter what color you choose. matters is that you plug this base color and then multiply this. Um, so these are like constants. I think you can do I think it's this. Yes. And then you can name it, and then you want to make it a parameter. Where's it at? Yeah, convert to a parameter, and then I'll show you here in a minute what that does. But then you name it based on what you're plugging it into. So here we have metallic, specular, and then this color type. So this sets up like a base, and just imagine like, okay, we're just going to keep copying this, right? So if this comes into play, is for these other ones, right? So let's say we want to make this good piece here. Is we go here to this base maturity. Here, we just right on it, create material instance. So let's just say I don't know. So then we open, and then since we made those values parameters, change. So color, make it pink, and then you could change everyone up here too. We want to do like color, uh, like shine. So let's just keep that. Like we want to shine here too. So take it off. Something metallic, change that. So you can kind of see how like easy it is to create really like whatever color or base material you want, at least something simple. So we'll just do this for now. But of course, if you want like fancy textures and stuff, then so this pink metal material, okay, we can select our static mesh, and then we can go to material, type pink metal. It has pink metal. I like that. Metal. Orange. We have an orange. So that's what. Okay, audio. I want to stop so we can actually hear the audio. So I'm gonna go over the machine here. I'll actually do both. I'll go over the rigged part and then I'll go over the normal and just kind of pay attention to the audio cues. And then I'll go over how to make a simple like a custom audio track from YouTube. So let me make sure my volume's up. And then I'm gonna rig the machine as if like a bad person rigged it because it'll operate differently. Okay. So, oh, sorry. Let me do this here too, so we'll have a little bit more viewing room. Oh, geez. So you might already hear, but there is a factory ambience playing in the background. So right at begin play, we fire that, so you can hear that going. When we pick up this piece of wood, you'll hear that play. So we got that audio. I have a different piece of audio playing for like the barrel. So there's that. Um, Again, I'll show how these play. Let me see if I can put this. If I put the oil in, you'll hear that into the machine. It's kind of like dumping oil in there, and you could kind of hear that clanking sound from the barrel too. So I'll show you. So not only do you hear it pouring, you hear some clanking too. So those are two audio tracks that I combined together. So I'll kind of go over that. It's very simple. So again, we'll grab the piece of wood here. You can hear we played on that. Now let me show you. When we hop on the machine now, let me go back off of it here. When we hop on it, it's not started. So we can see up there on the top right, it's Q to start the station. And if you notice, we have this pipe here. When I press Q, you can see the smoke come out. That's called a Niagara effect. Those are actually pretty straightforward to do, surprisingly. Just be careful of performance on them because they can get pretty expensive depending on what you do. So let me fire off this machine. So obviously we need to get the blade down to the wood to cut it right. This is a sawmill. So if you try to push the blade too far down or up, you'll hear that jamming sound. So you'll hear that. So to get a cut on the machine for it to actually go through, you could see up there in the top left, when I rev the machine, I'm holding the space bar. You have to land that black dot in the green area. As long as the black dot touches the green, that's a successful run. And then you just press C to try to fire it. So I'll see if I can get it here. I missed it. So if you heard that noise, that's another jam sound, and then you saw a little spark effect there too. Let me see if I can get it this time. So I'm going to eject so that way you guys can see what's happening. But you can hear the machine going off too. Now watch, it'll jam, and then watch what will happen. So you can see that one of the bigger splinters went through the character, and we have a Niagara effect. That has blood spewing out from the character, and then you could see all the wood shrapnels all over the place too. So you can kind of hear, obviously, the explosion, all that. I'll just kind of do it one more time in case anybody wants to see it again. So if you hear that, so when I press Q, you hear that almost like a car failing to start. That will signify that there's no oil in the machine. So player will have to come over here and grab the oil and put it in the machine. Or the station, sawmill, whatever we'll call it. So yeah, we'll come over here. You can see the F to operate. So we'll hop up on the machine. Now that we have oil in there, we can press Q. And we can see that the machine will start normally. So let me lower the blade down here, and I'll send it again, just so we can hear so we can see what the rigged machine will look like. Now keep in mind, this will be a social deduction game too, right? So there'll be other players doing stuff, and the machine will appear to operate normally. But then the second that blade starts jamming, then they're gonna know I'm dead, So I'm trying to add a bit of suspense to it, so the machine will appear to operate as normal. There's no way out. Once it jams, they're screwed. So there There we go. So you kind of see the splinter there. You can see the splinters all over the floor. Um, so yeah, that was just one of the mechanics that I added. It's kind of dramatic, but I guess it's part of the game, right? Uh, so the next part. Oh yeah. So for the custom audios, so you go to YouTube to get um, any sound you want, and then I'll show you this link here. So there's a ton of links out there to convert YouTube to MP3 file. I will say be careful what you use because there is a pretty popular one out there that is a virus. Let me see if I could pull it up here. Yeah, it's this one. Not surprised it's the first one. This one, I'm like 99% sure is a virus. So I did this, and when you download the file, it seems to work fine. However, at some point it'll lock your computer and say like, "Oh, you need to call, Microsoft to unlock your computer," and it like blares a siren and all that stuff. It's a classic, like clearly a scam, uh, you know, virus or pop up or whatever you want to call it. So don't use this. I'd recommend using this one. You see the link here. This is super simple to use. I personally would recommend keeping your video length below 10 minutes. Um, I've tried to do, I think there was one that was like 15 minutes or maybe even 20 before, and it wouldn't convert it. But anything that was like less than 10 minutes, I had no problem. So uh, there's that. So yeah, so you put the YouTube video in here, and then you get this program called Audacity. Audacity. Yeah, you can get this here. Um, so I'd recommend downloading this software. It's free. I've used this for. I used it extensively, maybe about 4 or 5 years ago, and it was pretty solid. So now I've been using it for game development too. It's just super simple to use, and I feel like I've scratched the surface on what it can really do. Um, so here I have um, the original that sound that we were listening to earlier to like it sounded like a car that was failing to start. Um, let me pull that file back in here. Here we go. So this is the original file. So you can we'll hit play to listen to it. There we go. So it's pretty straightforward. So let's say I don't want to wait there in the beginning and I don't want it to be as long, right? So you could hear there was like that whole almost a whole second of like nothing. So all you do is you could just highlight it, delete it, and let's say we just want like half of this, right? So you can just do that. And then I should have added that fade out. I didn't realize that was there till just now. Dang. But anyway, let's say we could take that out too, and then we could just play it now. There we go. So let's say we were good with that, right? So you can export it, export audio, um, export to computer. I will say be careful. You could do entire project, or you can if you have multiple in here. Like let's say you import multiple audio files, or you do a copy and paste. Um, you can have another track here, and you could do multiple audio files, and you can change them if you want to like listen to what you have down here, but not up here. You can mute this and then play it. So um, there's that. So yeah, so then you export it to whatever location you want. And then in Unreal Engine, go to audios. You just go here and import it, and you import whatever you just import whatever dot WAV file that you created from Audacity. Um, just a couple quick notes. If you want the if you want the audio to loop, open the audio file and select looping, and then also make sure. Um, so let's say like that engine idle that we heard when we started the machine. When you click on this, if you head over here to details, I don't know why it defaults to auto activate. I feel like it should be false, but for some reason, all the audio files will default to true. So, like, if we select true here, now watch when we play the game, you can hear the engine idle, and all the files are like that by default. So, I don't know why that is. You would think that they auto activate would be false, but I would just, it's just one of the random things that I noticed that you kind of have to do when you add an audio file to an actor. Um, so then in the event graph, when you want to play it, you just drag it into wherever you want to play it and you click play. And then there you go. Another thing, you can stop an audio like here, and it will be like a hard stop. The audio will just cut immediately. Or if you want, you could do what's called a fade out. So you could do this, and I'm actually going to leave this here. Um, and that will fade out the audio versus just a hard stop. I did that for the engine idle, because if you kind of think about it, like in real life, like imagine like if you turn off your car, the sound really doesn't stop immediately. It kind of fades out slightly. So just one of the things that I've kind of added throughout the game to kind of give it a little bit more of a realistic sound versus like a hard stop on everything. So this fade out node was just one of the nodes I would recommend. All right, let me see what else. Custom audio, fade out. Okay, the widgets. Let's see. So now I'll just quickly go over. So if I hover over here, right, you can see that the user interface changed to the bar over on the top left, and then the instructions on the top right. And then when we exit the machine, we can see we have our cursor back. Um, that is created through what's known as a widget. So let me open that up. Widgets. Um, so you create this, you can go right click. Where is it at? Um, is it? Oh, blueprint. Oh, where is it? Is it FX? No. Where is the widget? Oh, yeah, user interface. Duh. You go to user interface and then widget blueprint. Okay, and then you can open this up, and then it kind of gives you this box. I mean, again, there's a ton of videos out there on this. It's pretty straightforward. Um, for this box is super straightforward. You just put it in the top right, and you can add text boxes. Really, really easy. Now this probably not. I would pretty confidently say it's probably not the best or the most practical way to do it. I'm sure any pro developer out there would have not have done it this way. Um, but what I did was I added buttons. So I have 5 buttons here, and I've just put different colors. Eventually, I want to do like if you land it in the yellow, something happens. If you land it in the red, something else happens. Excuse me. Um, but for now, it's just you either land it in the green or not. Um, and where the black bar, where this black box come from, it's actually a like a slider bar, um, and I just overlaid it with the buttons, and then I just set it up to where um, the power sets on the bottom, it can't go below, and then it goes up to 100 here. So um, just wanted to kind of quickly go over that, and then let me show you where that changes at. Let me see here. Oh yeah, player controller. So let me go to that. Player controller. Oh, it's not here. Is it here? Yeah. So let's see. Yeah, here we go. So this top part, we are just creating the user interfaces, and we're essentially just initializing them. Like when we play the game, we're just setting up the logic. That's done here. Here, um, I'll go over what this interface is here in a minute, what this is, and what fires us off. But this is um, the logic for when a player enters the station, it will remove their current user interface and it'll add a different one. And then we'll set that visibility. Um, so you can see here we're setting the visibility, but then this changes the player's controls. Because obviously, when the player enters the station, their controller mapping will be different. So that's what we're changing with these two nodes. And then these two nodes, we're changing the user interface. And then down here, when they exit the station, we're just swapping it back. We're swapping the controls back, and we're swapping the user interface back here. So I just want to go over that real quick. Again, nothing super complicated. It's just when you kind of cross the bridge, at least for me, when I crossed the bridge for the first time, understanding what nodes did what was kind of rough. And then where to put the nodes was kind of um, a bit of a struggle as well. Because I don't know, maybe I'm OCD when it comes to this stuff, but I wanted them to be, I don't know, like logical and organized. Um, so this is what I ended up with, and it at least works. So I'm gonna go with that for now. We grab a drink here. All right. So next thing, where I got the assets from, some of the assets. So in the Epic Store, you can go to this Fab here, and then you could really look for anything. So I'll see if I can find the plank. Um, so I really just I look for free. Um, I've never paid for anything for Unreal Engine. Um, I mean, if I started making money from a game, I would consider it, but um, I'm not going to pay for assets. So we can see here that looks like somebody made some wood planks. These actually look really good. Um, one of the things to look out for is the the uh, the file type. So we can see here FBX, and that's what we want. So if we click on this, We can see FBX, and we could just kind of look at them. These actually look like pretty good. We got some options too, so you can kind of pretty straightforward from here. You can either add the library, and then otherwise, or you might see if you already have it. You could do. I think it says like download, and you can set where you want the path to go. So if you want it to go directly in your game, you can set the file path up to do that as well. Um, I didn't know that at the beginning, so I was like exporting it and then like moving the file over. Um, but uh, but yeah, if you next to the, like I think it's like the download button, you'll see like settings. It'll be like I believe somewhere over here. You can download it directly into your game. So last thing I have before I forget though, I want to show what a normal operation is for the actor. Sorry, I didn't go over that in the beginning. I feel like it's probably the whole purpose of this video, but oh yeah. So I need to put oil on it. So now the machine's not rigged. So put oil in it. Come over here. So now the machine is not rigged. So we'll see. It'll cut the wood the way it should. Let's start the machine. So you can see, well, it'll turn into planks, and then it'll go back. And then this whole. So one of the things I wanted to note too is, let me put some oil on the machine here, and I'll show you. You notice when we press the space bar, the the little block will go up, right? But then when we go down, it kind of goes down not smoothly, and that was set up intentionally. There's a random float that's generated um, that kind of ticks that down, and then when we hold space, it's a bit smoother. It essentially just adds one as we hold space. So that'll be the last thing I go over in this video. So I'll just kind of go over, highlight some of the things in the blueprint and the blueprint graph that I think would be um, that I think folks would find interesting. Let me find the event graph here. Give me 1 second. Hey, okay. Ashton's gonna come get you. All right, love you, bye. Yeah. She's done. So in the blueprints, I kind of have a lot of different sections here. I won't go over everything. It would kind of take this would be a whole nother video. I just want to go over some of the very quick, or some of the very high level, and I'll try to make it quick. Um, Kind of aspects of the blueprint graph I think would be helpful. Um, so one of the things you could do is you can collapse nodes. So I'll kind of double click this here, and you can see all these nodes that are connected, and there's an input and output, right? Um, what you can do is you can like highlight all these nodes, and you right click, and you do collapse nodes. I'm not going to do it on this because it's already collapsed, but you do collapse nodes and it'll turn into this. So you can kind of organize your nodes, I think, a little bit cleaner. And then if you don't want to do it, or if you want to, like, I guess, undo it, or like, um they call it expanding. Like, if you don't want them to be collapsed anymore, you want to, like, maybe do it differently, you can right click on it and expand it. Um, this set timer by event node is pretty useful. Um, so here, basically, every zero point 0.1 second, um, you know, we're basically setting up the decrement power bar. Like, so when we were looking at, when we were on the station, and you could see like that bar like ticking down on the top left. That's what this does. Um, and that's where the set timer by event node is pretty useful. So um, if you haven't used this node before, and you're looking to like do something like every so often, I think this node, has some uses. It's just one of like a tool in the tool belt that, if I'd recommend keeping in mind. I definitely anticipate using it more in the future. Let's see. This switch here is pretty useful. I think I'll probably use this, in the future as well. You pass in a string to it, and based on what that string is, the flow of the execution pen um, will kind of flow as follows. So, like, if the string is oil fill, we'll go this way. If the string is entry, we'll go this way. And the reason why that is I'll show you. Oh, sorry. This station has three different collision boxes to it. Um, this box here, when the player enters it or interacts with this box, they'll place a log here. But if they interact with this, they'll enter the machine. If they interact with this part, then they'll fill up oil in the machine. So that's where the switch come into play. It's the same, like, logic for each one, but based on which collision component they hit will trigger which execution branch fires. Let's see something here real quick. Sorry. Okay. Let's see what else. Oh, let me look at my notes. Oh, timeline. Let me find it here. So this was a pretty, at least for me, maybe I'm slow. Uh, this timeline node here, um, it's pretty useful. So, and again, if you just look up like how a timeline node works, you'll find videos on it. But you could just like look up timeline. We'll probably see one. Maybe. Maybe this. Yeah. So yeah, it's like just add timeline. You can name it whatever, but once you pass something into it, it'll like fire. But then if you so in our sawmill, you saw the track like move out, and then we want to do the same thing but in reverse, and that's where this came into play. Um, and you could see like when we finished it, we had a simple boolean here that we checked to see if it's returning or not. Um, if it is returning, or if it's, maybe I need to switch this, but the point is this, essentially serves as a switch. Um, if the track needs to return, we'll follow this way and we'll loop it back to the timeline, and this will bring it back, this reverse from end node here. And then once it's finished, once it reverses whatever this is, it'll fire this node again, and then it'll check this boolean, and we've already switched it inside here, so then it'll follow this way. It's it's a little confusing at first, but once you kind of set it up, and you could set it up with print statements, um, kind of test it out and play with it a little bit. I found it to be pretty useful. Um, I'm using it twice. Let me see what else. Oh, interfaces. So the sawmill is its own actor, right? And the player, let me do this here. The player here is its own actor. And it can get a little complicated sometimes when you want to pass data between the two. And the question becomes kind of how do we do that efficiently, right? Because when we have the sawmill, everything's pretty straightforward to pass data all around, right? Because we can, like, oh, if we want to grab, you know, a variable, we just bring it into the level, right? Easy. But what if we want to grab a variable from the character, right? Or what if we want to get a reference to it? Or, um, like one of the things that we're doing here. So, like for this log, right? I'm grabbing a log. You can see I can drop it. But if I try to drop it again, it says no item to drop. Now, check this out. If I go interact with this, I shouldn't be able to drop it because I placed that, right? But now when I drop, I have no item to drop. But now the question becomes is how did that sawmill communicate back with us to let the character know, hey, you you gave me a log, I'm taking your item, and they're communicating back and forth, right? That's where interfaces come in. So I'll show you how that works, or at least I'll do my best to. Um, Again, a ton of videos on this as well. Um, they're it's one of those things where it's pretty straightforward once you understand how they work, but maybe setting it up for the first time uh, might be a little confusing. So you can just right click anywhere. You go to blueprint interface, right? So I have three. You don't really depends on how many. I really probably don't even need this one. Um, Actually, I don't think I need it at all. But I had an interface built for stuff revolving the character, like anything to do with the character. I did one for that, just to try to be a little bit more organized. And then any kind of general um, stuff. I think I had one or two for um, yeah. So there'll be electricity piece, and then there's like a garage door function. So um, just general things that happen in the game. I set up an interface for that. But let me show you how this works, right? So here we go. Interstation. So um, you can essentially just go in here and add really a function, right? You could put inputs in if you want. It's actually not required. You can if you want. A lot of times you will have an input, um, but I'll let me show you actually this on Interact. I think this will be a good one. So when I um, set this up right on Interact, this is essentially now a function that I can use that will connect the two um, actors together, the player and the sawmill. Let me show you uh, the first piece of it. Okay, so when my character goes up and interacts with something, I'll show you this here. This is actually a pretty useful thing as well. Let's do this for duration. So when my character walks up to this station, right, they press F. So it says a log needs to be placed here. You could see up there in the top left. But when we look here, this is called a sweep. Uh, the node is like I think it's like a sweep by trace. We're firing a sphere, and you could see we're hitting something, indicated by that square here. Let me do it again. So this sweep contacted that collision box here, and then you could see that it's saying a log needs to be placed here. Well, if you kind of think about it, it's like, well, how did it know to say a log, right? Like, why not anything else? Or if we go over here, I think it might say, yeah, you need an oil barrel to fill the tank. Well, how did it know that? You know what I mean? Like, how did it know that we just didn't hit the corner of it? So that's where the interface again comes into play. So let me go back and turn off this sweep. So when our sweep contacts that hitbox, we pull it up here. When it contacts these hitbox, we go back here. We can actually get that data. So at that contact point, we can use this break hit result and get the data from that result. So um, we're getting that component, which is here. And then we're essentially, now that we have that component, we're taking that component, and you don't have to really worry about this, but we're going to do a branch here to see, like, did they actually like interact with something that's interactable, or are they just interacting with a wall, right? Here's the first piece of that interface. So um, what I want to highlight here is this target. What we're doing here is when we interacted with that component, the actor, here's the actor pin and here's the component pin. So we're sending this actor pin data up to here. And what this interface is doing, it's saying, okay, you want me to interact with, like, or I'm sorry, you want me to send a message somewhere. Where do you want me to send it, and what do you want me to send? Right? Here is where do you want me to send it? And what we plugged into here is the actor. And then we're passing in some other data elements, and then we're also passing in the component. So here um, we hit this log add component, and we're passing that into here. So then what we can do is when we move over here to the actor, so this is sending it. This is like the sender, and then over here is the receiver. So let me show you where we're receiving that at here. So you can see here, that's it's the same, right? Event on interact, and we get this icon here. This is the receiving end of that. It's essentially the continuation of that pen. So here's where we start. This is where it sends, and then over here, the execution continues, and then we have those data elements here as well. So we're kind of doing some setting, and then we're grabbing a tag from the component to really see what it is. And this is how we're differentiating between those collision boxes, right? Um, Here it's the add log, the oil fill, and then the entry. Um, because if you kind of think about it, like over here, when we do the sweep by trace, like I'm pressing F here, but I'm also pressing F over here. And it's like, well, I'm entering here, but why am I not entering over here? Well, this is when the interface again becomes into play because the uh, when our character interacts with this, the sawmill is saying you're interacting with the add log component, not the entry component. So the sawmill's messaging back to the player and, having that communication with it based on the logic we set up. Um, so hopefully that makes sense. Um, Happy to, go over that in more detail or maybe do some different examples uh, if somebody would like. But again, it's one of those things that I'm sure there's probably a few different videos out there. But if nothing is out there making sense to you, and you want me to go over that, maybe in a way, hopefully that I can make it make sense. I'd be happy to do that. Um, and that's it. Um, that was over all the key areas I wanted to go over so far for my game. So hopefully, uh, you guys got some value out of that. Um, and if anybody has any questions or wants me to maybe circle back on anything to maybe go over anything in more detail, I'd be happy to. But other than that, I appreciate watching. Thanks.